Status quo, uzuncarum, ungularum, delectatque, contremescit me, intro.
Hey, Elmers.
What's up?
Rob, go ahead and say hi.
Hi.
Yep, it's the Unholy Three, and we are here with another weekly edition of 13th Elm, your favorite horror podcast where the three of us get together and we don't stay on topic very long, and we watch movies that came out 20 plus years ago. And this one, 30 plus years ago, it's The Fly, David Cronenberg's The Fly, 1987. It stars Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, and John Getz. So, I don't think any of us had seen this one yet, actually.
No, which is insane if you think about it.
Super surprising, right?
I don't know.
Well, what do you think? Give us an opinion.
I don't know.
I mean, this is arguably one of Cronenberg's more well-known
Oh, this has
movies,
got to be his most...
and one of the most well-known horror movies from the 80s in general, which we watch a lot of, and none of us have seen it.
Also huge on practical effects, and we watched a lot of practical effects.
Yeah.
It won an Oscar.
And also... What?
Did it?
Yeah, it won
Who
an
did?
Oscar. The CWL Inc., whatever it was.
Oh, Chris Wallace. Inc.?
Chris Wallace, yeah.
Yeah.
He won an Oscar for that.
Is it Wallace or Wallace?
I think it's Wallace.
I think it is, too. But it's not spelt like...
Ben Wallace?
Gromit. Like,
Oh.
yeah. Well, have you seen Ben Wallace and Gromit? It's a claymation about a basketball playing dog. It's way better than Air Bud.
Hard to believe.
It's hard to believe it's better than Air Bud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Megan Cochran, if you're listening to this, your dad was in Air Bud 2 or maybe 3.
Shout out. We heard that story.
Yeah,
That's
we
an
did hear
awesome
that story. Shout out to Megan.
Shout out to Megan.
Megan probably doesn't know my name, to be honest.
Megan, this is Michael.
We did 3 homework
His address.
assignments in college together, and that's it. But if you're listening to this, we'd love to have you on the pod. Bring your famous ass dad. We'll watch Air Bud.
Michael
7.
still thinks about you.
Mostly your dad, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golden receiver. Anyway, so back to the movie. We let's just go in. I think I'm gonna kick it over to my buddy Rob, because he's got a lot to say about this movie, and I don't really want to be cut off for the next 20 minutes, so I'm gonna let you lead in.
I do have a lot to say.
All right, let me give you
I don't feel
two
like I
words.
cut you off too often.
Baboons.
Go.
Baboon? Oh, the baboon. Yeah. Or the multiple baboons, the brothers. Number one, where are you getting these baboons from? Like, is it Bartok Industries has like a supply of baboons?
Oh,
This is a large multi-level structure. So is there a basement level where he just has cages of baboons to then use? Because when he meets Gina Davis, he's like, oh, you don't want to know what happens to animals when I put them in there. So he's clearly done this before and knows it's going to turn them inside out. So it's like really disgusting and like beyond animal cruelty that he's doing this. And that you
He's
wouldn't
got like
start,
multiple baboons
you
on
wouldn't
retainer.
start with like a fucking cockroach or like a rat or a baboon.
Or a fly.
Well,
Also,
he's trying to
beyond this.
transmit humans, though. Like, wouldn't you-
transubstantiate humans, so use a baboon. Yeah. But not like, we haven't figured out the inside out part yet. Let's use an intelligent primate instead of like a starfish or a tapeworm or something.
He's not expensive. They don't ask him questions.
They don't ask him questions.
I need 2 baboons.
We'll get into like what sort of power situations required to, what it doesn't matter. The more important thing about this baboon thing is that Cronenberg had a wild animal on set that the main protagonist actor, Jeff Goldblum, is like interacting with pretty intimately. And the whole thing behind this is that Cronenberg thought that because Jeff Goldblum worked out for the role and was like large, that he'd be able to dominate and the baboons would like submit to him. Yeah, and that Goldblum had to physically overpower the baboon on a number of occasions on set in order to like pacify it. which that thing could rip your fucking face off. It's insane.
They
were actually-
that's extra points in my book.
They were
Have a
worried.
dangerous animal on set.
They were worried about because Goldblum was not the first pick. They were worried about the other picks for this movie.
Who were they? Are they known?
Oh
or?
man, John Lithgow, Michael Keaton. Who
Keaton
else?
would've been fucking
There were a
weird.
couple others that were considered for it, and some that were offered the role. I can't remember, but yeah, I remember Lithgow and also Michael Keaton were both offered the role. But they were worried about someone who wasn't like muscular and large dealing with a live wild baboon on set.
That's insane.
It is crazy. What were we talking about?
That's the type of unbridled enthusiasm that I look forward to every week. And,
Unbrindled?
Yeah,
Unbrundled.
I thought it was Brindle.
No,
Brundle.
Brundlefly.
Brundlefly.
That was Brundle. Oh, it's Brundle.
Yeah.
Grundle.
Brundle me, grundle me. That's what I always say.
Oh, you do say that.
Isn't a grundle a taint? Isn't that?
Mine isn't.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
What is your taint?
5 inches.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Off air.
Which is strange that we're talking about it again.
It's not
Subscribe
really
to
that strange.
13th and Elm off air. $30 a month.
13th and Elm After Dark.
All access hogs.
Dude, are we? Yeah, if anybody's got free time, we are starting the 13th and Elm Hog Farm this summer in southern Colorado. Just bring you and your hog, and we'll put it in some dirt.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Put your dicks in the dirt.
I was kind of disappointed I didn't see Jeffrey Goldblum's penis in this movie. There were so many options.
Does he ever show hog?
No, he doesn't. He puts on like panties in one scene. Well, not panties, but like briefs, but they're like bikini cut. He puts on like little man panties at
He has,
one
like,
point
no
when he's
butt.
like getting out. He's like lanky. He's built like a racing bike.
What does that mean?
He's like long and lanky.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, it's kind of weird.
I thought
coming
you
from
maybe had a punchline, like
No.
you were setting that up.
Nope,
And I
that was the
we
joke.
were knocking him down.
Nope.
does he have a kickstand? That's the most important question.
Yeah, you can see that thing flopping around
Yeah,
Flopping around in the panties?
in the panties.
I was looking.
Yeah.
I know you watched this movie 4 hours ago, but I mean, come on.
No, I remember him in the
Okay,
white
He's
guy.
in good shape in this movie, and
he
he is
is.
fucking tall. He's like 6'4", 6'5". He's a big
Yeah,
guy.
He's handsome.
Yeah, he's tall. He's
Yeah.
handsome.
Him and Gina Davis have the same haircut in this movie.
They kind of did.
I love
Gina
Gina
had
Davis,
more volume.
and
Oh
I
my
did not
God.
realize this was Gina Davis, so that was exciting for me from scene one. Because I'm a huge fan of hers in Beetlejuice. I think
Beetlejuice.
she's one of the most. She's so cute.
I agree with all of that for most of her roles. Gina
She's
Davis
great.
is great.
I did
great.
not realize it
A
was
League of
her.
Our Own. Come on, it's a great movie. You
Not
ever seen
into
that?
feminism.
All right. Well, beep. Yeah,
It's a joke.
you looked really serious when you said it.
Yeah, just furrowed brow.
Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about the names of the characters in this movie?
Uh,
Ronnie.
well, her name's Veronica.
She's Ronnie,
She goes by Ronnie,
which is very 80s, and it matches the haircut.
yeah. And
But
then you
also
got Seth Brundle.
Stathis? What is
Stathis
what
is
is what
right.
is he? Is he a Baratheon? What is this shit?
Why would they have gone with that? And I guess
It's an insane name for a character.
Cronenberg is wild,
Especially in a movie that's really about 3 characters. Like there are other.
though. I mean, it's really about two.
But
they bring
there-
in Stathis.
Stathis is in most of it, and there's the guys that are at the bar and like the not hooker that that Jeff Goldblum picks up. But it's mostly about those two, and then the ex-boyfriend slash editor
such a
slash
weird character.
former professor. Doesn't
He's a
she say
real-
that
That's how
she
they
was
met. She
her
was his
student,
yeah.
and then he was her boss, like all kinds of woof.
That was a really fucking weird character, and I mean he's written in there to be like the creepy ex-boyfriend, but he like was not good at it, or
Well,
like the dialogue was just.
No, I didn't think it was great. I thought it was decent. He's just like
I
really
did not really
controlling
like
and
it.
weird. But then he
But
becomes
it didn't
the
feel real at all. Like it
Really?
felt kind of like it kind of felt like it was supposed to be funny. He would
Okay.
literally be like, "And if I do this for you, then you give me your body."
Okay, so
And like, I was like, that's not how creeps talk.
in the 80s, maybe they did.
I mean,
But he's
yeah, I guess I can't
he's
argue
got, like,
against that. But I
he's
just
got like a key to her place, and he like still thinks that she wants
yeah,
him.
like the fact like she comes home and he's just in the shower,
taking a shower, and she flushes the toilet to
Isn't
make
that
it
how we're
cold.
introduced to him? Actually, isn't that?
No, you
We
see.
do meet him.
Do we
as
meet
a
him in the
boss
office
beforehand.
first?
Yeah,
Okay.
because he like says
Like
something
I said,
like, "Do you want me
I
to
haven't
come
seen this
by?"
movie in
in 3
5
or
or
5
6
hours.
hours.
Yeah. He's the creepy ex who is really possessive and is like stalking her, and then ends up kind of helping her out towards the end.
Yeah, they're really downplaying the whole like predatory aspect of males in this movie on multiple
They're
angles.
downplaying it. It's pretty on the screen.
Well, right, but then like he's the hero in the end. Like he's
yeah, I'm
kinda
not
like
sure
the
if I
good
was
guy.
a huge fan of that either.
Well, I mean, the melting hand scene is pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, that's
Probably the
The last 10 minutes of this movie are amazing.
I clocked it. It is like 22.
what about the
Okay.
first?
The first half hour that it's just a romance?
Honestly,
Slow.
was this a little boring?
Okay, so yes and no. The first 30 minutes or so, first 45 minutes maybe,
Yeah.
are pretty slow and it's more like, honestly, I was not expecting to see two people make love in this movie. They don't fuck. They like make love. They're
I mean,
like
it's a
falling in
romance,
love,
yeah.
and it's romantic and
Quickly.
It's I don't know, it developed pretty slowly, more slowly than I thought it would.
Yeah, I kind of
Oh man, but
I was a little upset that I found it boring
But,
because I thought
honey,
I was really gonna fucking
Spicy eggplant, champagne.
love this. But also, I feel like the very beginning of the transformation is the better part of it.
oh, I was thinking about you because it's like fucking gross skin shit.
Oh,
yeah,
when
before
he-
it's
it's
like over the
gross
top.
skin shit.
So when he looks like Mickey
has a
Rourke,
special
but
place
isn't
in my
like
heart.
a giant goblin yet.
But I mean, the grossest part of his transportation is. I mean, have you seen what this man drives? Transformation.
Aztec.
I like those gross, like thick hairs that you
Yeah.
see, and she like cuts off, and like his face, he's getting
His
like
face
these
looks so bad.
and like that, and that got me so fucking excited. I was like, oh, this is gonna
Okay.
be disgusting. And then like the next day, he kind of just looks like a fucking caveman.
So they had initially made it so that giant like compound eyes would come out of his forehead. So
that would have been stupid.
that's sort of like third phase before he starts, before like the final sequence. It's
Shout
that
out
was
Human Centipede.
yeah.
If you're
right.
listening, Human Centipede.
That was supposed to be planned to like basically be a different transformation, and so it
Yeah,
doesn't quite match everything else.
I just think it could have gone in. I think it just could have been just like so gross.
Well, they
Do you
did.
think it wasn't gross?
It was super gross.
It was gross at the beginning.
And the end when it's like
In the
sloughing
end,
off.
that's what.
and all
Yeah,
that.
it was gross at the beginning
So-
and the end. That whole middle part, though, he just looked kind of goofy.
I guess what they said was that they built the final model and then worked backwards to make the in between match to what it would then become,
Yeah, I mean,
which is cool.
shedding.
The last
of the
scene
skin, it
where
was
before he
great.
like busts out of his flesh.
was awesome. But
So I feel like the movie itself did start pretty slow, and I kind of agree with you about it being a little bit not engaging initially, just
It's a
because I
little
think
boring.
like we had certain expectations, but I think that ultimately, and perhaps not in this viewing in 2022 with this set of parameters, but I think ultimately it served the movie well. It definitely brings you into a false sense of security, and like I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, isn't this like top 10 grossest horror movies of the 80s? And yeah, sure, those are BuzzFeed lists that don't include our fucked up weird cult mondo takes and stuff like that, and they usually don't have like a lot of foreign films. It's pretty popular movies, but it's still regularly one or two, on these lists. And I'm sitting here thinking like, where are we gonna go? And so I think that, especially you think 1987, the story is well known. You think about a whole generation of people who grew up and saw the
86.
Vincent Price movie. You don't have internet, you don't have spoilers, you don't have a lot of shit. You just have to go out and see the film. And I imagine the last 20 minutes, like obviously you don't show the monster. So you're not getting this in trailers. And so you go out on your date night and you're 30, 40 minutes into this movie and it's kind of rom-com-y and it's slow and you're just kind of expecting like an updated take on The Fly, which it is, but it's also completely its own. But like the original Fly, I don't know if either of you seen it, but it's...
I was about to ask, have you seen it?
Yeah, it's great. I love it. But it's like a lot different. Like it's not a fly human. It's like a miniature fly who's like humanistic and can talk and shit like that. It's very different. So if you just went in and you had no idea and you're an hour in on like what seems to be a pretty safe and stable ride, and then you get like finger squirting and jaws hinging and being pulled off and fucking the throwing up of the acid saliva
the enzyme stuff.
Yeah, like dude, by the end of this movie, he is fucking hideous. And they did cut out that scene with the monkey cat and like the transformation
that we watched.
I mean, that scene was kind of insane.
Yeah, but I mean, you throw that in there too. You know, the last 30 minutes of this movie is fucking unhinged. And like where it really turned the corner for me is like when she has sex with Jeff Goldblum and she knows that he's turning into something and he calls and admits to her and then she has the nightmare and
I want to talk a lot
gives
about that.
birth to the larva. Dude, that was so
great.
fucking badass. Did you notice that David Cronenberg was the gynecologist?
The gynecologist, yeah.
No.
Well, I didn't notice it. I read it after I saw it.
I thought he's not the egg, the larva?
He's not the larva. Also, Gina Davis convinced him to play that role.
Really?
Yeah.
She wanted someone
him
she could trust
exactly.
looking up there?
Yes, exactly that.
I think I read that.
Yeah,
that was on an True Hollywood
scene.
Story, Gina Davis.
But it's yes, like you're saying, like this film has a lot of rom-com energy, especially the first half of it, and some of it, I mean, obviously the finale, the final scenes are intense and are very graphic and a lot of practical effects and gore and all that. But I feel like a lot of the other stuff in between is sort of like just thrown in there, and it's really extreme for the rest of the tone of the film. And then you'll get like this crazy abortion dream that she has with the giant like larva. And
it was so good. Yeah.
And the first few scenes with like the finger squirting and like the vomiting and like towards the last quarter of the film, like a lot more of it's gross. You see Brundlefly a lot. He's acting crazy and twitching, and like his face is deformed and his ear sloughs off, which also was not planned. It just happened. And
the prosthetic just like fell off.
That's Gina's real like reaction. They just kept it.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that.
But it also became like slapstick comedy, like when he's like, "Call me Brundlefly." Like I was howling like on my couch. It was so fucking funny.
Yeah, there are definitely parts that were supposed to be funny.
It all marries itself into like a beautiful and well executed film, because like this movie is like pinnacle Cronenberg, right? It is like the embodiment of ironically body horror and like these melt movies type of subgenre, and it's so good, and it's a little campy, but it's slow in the beginning for a long part of it. And I think that our non-horror fans, or like our friends who wouldn't be into the maybe the huge gross body horror movies that we watch this, and they see Gina Davis and they see Jeff Goldblum and they're like, oh, they're cute and this is funny and I know these actors, and they're all of a sudden like open-minded to what becomes one of the grossest and best utilizations of practical effects in horror. Like this, if this was an hour on rather than just 24 minutes, it'd be Human Centipede. And I make the argument that it's infinitely more gross than Human Centipede, but all of these people who don't like horror won't watch Human Centipede based off of its name, even though like Human Centipede is way less graphic, way less fucking gory. It's objectively or subjectively, it's funnier. Like it's more a comedy than The Fly, but you see it and you're like, oh, it's cute, and like you feel safe in the first hour, but dude, the last 20 minutes of this, she gives birth to like a 3-foot larva.
Yeah,
and then
insane.
She blows Jeff Goldblum's head off with a fucking shotgun blast, point blank. Like this is graphic, even if it is slow.
Beyond that, something I did not know and did not expect was a line that I've heard my whole life, which is on par with, Luke, I am your father, which isn't even the line. But the be afraid, be very afraid.
Yeah.
That's from this movie,
Mhm.
and it's something that I heard from my parents growing up and like on TV and never knew what it was from.
It's been copied and
And
fucking bit.
Apparently, it's a bit that Mel Brooks said, who helped produce this movie on the DL, and he coined that when they were first showing the final transformation of Jeff Goldblum's character of Seth.
Brundlefly.
But Brundlefly, yeah, and like
Brundlefly.
all this, like the fucking children's movie that he makes to like explain how Brundlefly, like that was awesome. It was
Dude, I
so
mean,
funny.
I mean,
It's really
even
good.
before that, I mean, we touched on it earlier, but like he develops this like strength and like huge ego, and he goes out to that bar,
And he breaks
and
that dude's
there's-
arm.
and there's people, these huge guys arm wrestling, and he's like, "Oh, I bet you I can beat you." He has $100, and he's like, "Oh, easy money."
Oh,
or
and
to
I
take
get the
this-
girl.
and I get the
Yeah.
girl, which is like,
What do you think? I'm a hooker?
But she
mean-
goes with him anyway.
Yeah, but she just wants to go to a couple more bars before they head home.
Yeah, I did like a couple of bars. Okay, sure.
why not? But yeah, and he just fucking breaks that guy's arm.
I mean, he's wearing a leather jacket, no shirt, and suit pants.
Yeah. I mean, it's
He looks
and-
hot.
and I mean that, and we had the
He's kind of hot.
the
Super
montage
hot.
where they fuck, and he gets out of bed and just starts
Whoa.
doing these insane acrobatic.
The fucking
Like,
Olympic
what?
run double bar thing that he's doing. So I also read that they're
that shit was funny.
the like athletes, the what do you call them, gymnasts that did this for them were used to doing the routine, one time all the way through within a minute or whatever. But because it's a film, they had to reshoot it multiple times, and they eventually just got exhausted because they couldn't keep like holding these positions and doing it for hours and hours on end. So it took a long time to shoot like all of that shit.
Yeah, no kidding. They're like not using momentum or any
No.
of like the practical things that you would apply to their sport, art, whatever you want to call it. They're sitting there to be taking pictures of.
I also love the bit where Jeff Goldblum is like starting to finally like freak out about how Ronnie's like not keeping up with him, and he's like, "Does a sick man do this?" He just starts punching
punches,
like
like,
a
the
support
support
beam, like crushing it like
I
it's
was
made of
thinking
like.
Dennis Hopper.
When
Bring
he
it all
said-
down! Bring it all down! I was
Oh,
fucking,
I thought you were gonna. Wait, who were you thinking of?
fucking Dennis Hopper in Texas Chainsaw 2 when he's going through
I
the
was thinking of a completely
Texas
different-
battleground.
I was thinking of Dennis Reynolds when
Oh.
he's quarantined in the bathroom and he goes, "Does a sick man sing like this?" And he does the.
Yes. He also
That's what I thought you were going with
Yeah,
that.
you looked so excited when I was like, yeah.
Because that was like this obscure thought that I had, and I just heard you say, "Oh, it reminded me of Dennis," and I was like,
Yeah!
"Wow, me too."
there's a lot of poetry that's quoted by Seth like a couple times, or stuff that's like similar.
Seth's a fucking babe in this.
He
He's
is.
a great character, and like he's so
He's a real character.
he transcends Jeff Goldblum
Yeah.
in this movie. Honestly, like Seth Brundle is great, and like he has a cadence and just like
He twitches.
yeah, he's got all his little like idiosyncrasies and his cadence and his timbre.
He is extremely similar to Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park, though.
I don't
His
know.
cadence is almost exactly
I
the
think
same.
he might just be similar to Jeff Goldblum.
He also talks about Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park only wears black, so he doesn't have to think about what he has to wear. Just like Seth does because he's embodying Einstein. He wears the same suit all the time.
I'm pretty sure he
yeah.
got it from Zuckerberg.
I think this movie came out before Zuckerberg was born.
I think this movie. I bet Zuckerberg
was
came
made?
out before this movie.
Before Zuckerberg was
Is he
invented.
gay?
No, like he came out of his mother's womb. He kicked them walls down. Shaka when the walls fell down. If it,
Shaka when the wombs fell down.
Shaka Khan, did your womb fall down?
Like sugar. Too
Oh.
sweet.
Sugar walls?
Sugar walls. Anyway,
What's
here's
better,
Sugar Wall.
sugar daddies or sugar babies? And I'm talking about candies. Don't look at me like
Okay,
that.
so apparently before they're called sugar daddies, they were called papa suckers.
Papa suckers. Yep.
No.
I knew that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fact.
See that shit on Reddit? Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Was that on Today I Learned?
Yeah, probably.
Shout out to Reddit.
Shout out to Reddit.
But not
you
the horror
are a
subreddit.
massive waste of my time.
Because the horror subreddit sucks.
Most of them suck.
If you're on the horror subreddit and you're listening to our show, thank you.
You probably
Don't
just watched.
suck.
You probably just watched The Fly for the first time, like us, and are posting about it on Reddit.
And you're talking about
You're
like,
like,
oh,
look at
I don't
this-
think
look at
people
this
on the
hidden
fucking
gem that I've
horror
seen.
subreddits don't watch my horror movies. They don't know shit. Yeah, and then you're gonna start a podcast with your best friends, and how fucking everybody's
Oh,
gonna care about your opinions.
Not
Got it,
best.
dude.
That's true.
I do want to post an episode
Only.
of ours on Reddit just to get knocked down a
Not
couple
this one.
pegs.
Yeah.
Let's
Not this
not
one?
do this one.
Not
All right,
this one,
Midsummer.
though. Yes.
Yeah, something
They
digestible.
will love that.
It's between
Digest-
Midsummer and Thanksgiving.
Definitely Thanksgiving. Or maybe One Cut of the Dead.
Was that a movie that we watched?
I think so. I wouldn't call it a movie. We definitely watched it. Gary.
But man, the vomit thing
So cool.
was so cool, and it just
We're
made
just
me.
like burping it up just on accident.
But it's like, man, I wish, because like one of the body horror things that really gets me is like open wounds, like pus, and like I kind of thought we'd get more of that, and like they had, like it was there, like. Man, if he had some open sores that pus was just leaking out of, that would have elevated this for
Body
me
horror
so
is
much.
the only category of horror that really fucks with you, and I thought
Pretty much.
that I just find that so funny.
Yeah, like one of the hardest things for me to watch is Michael's penis.
Is it away? Did you put it away?
What the fuck?
Finally, it's away. Oh my god, he pulls it out and shakes it at Rob when he's not looking sometimes.
This is not
but
true.
yeah, like
Wow.
there's lots of things that are president that are in horror movies that rub people the wrong way or it's their no or whatever. And
Like
I don't
Michael's
have any.
penis.
I don't have any.
Rub this
I don't
no-no.
have any no-nos.
You don't have any no-nos.
But the hardest thing for me to watch is like well done, like open sore,
Yeah.
pus,
Skin.
skin rash, shit like that. Give me that. Like if I ever like,
What about like burns?
yeah, like a sick burn, like you're a fucking loser.
Yeah. Ouch.
Or Montgomery Burns.
Yep.
I mean, not as much.
Okay.
No, that's more of just like that's just like confined to the surface of the skin usually. I'm talking about holes in skin,
Like parasites
pus
and stuff.
coming
Okay.
up. Oh yeah,
Cool.
any kind of bugs under the skin, like maggots
Have you
eating
ever
that
seen,
flesh,
you ever
that kind of
seen
shit.
Bug?
A Bug's Life, yeah,
No.
That shit's tight.
yeah. A Bug's Life is tight.
2003,
No.
2004.
I don't think so. No,
Okay. I watched it with my dad.
but even
years
like,
ago.
but even
Anyway.
like, I mean, like as a kid watching like The Mummy when they have those bugs that go
scarabs,
under the skin. That's
dude.
like that is
Emotep. That one?
maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
that be-
That's,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Mummy, right?
So obviously that's something that's been with me forever. But
So is this
I love
movie
it.
like kind of like an AIDS allegory a little bit?
I mean, it's the right timing, right?
It might
I don't know.
There's a whole thing like don't go see him. It might be contagious, and she loves him anyway, but the relationship is doomed, and she's worried about.
yeah, no, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Is that something that came into your mind, or
Oh, yeah.
or like reading other reviews and stuff?
Yeah, it did. It did feel that way when I was watching it, and then
Yeah.
I kind of read up on it, and I guess it was not intended by Cronenberg, but a lot of people thought
yeah,
that when
no,
they
I can
first
see
saw
that
it.
for sure.
But it's more of it's about like disease, I guess, in general, is what he was saying, Cronenberg.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
so big in the zeitgeist of 1987 at that time. And, when the film was being made, if you're making a film about infectious disease at that time, like, I mean, even if you're not consciously thinking about it, that's on
Yeah.
every news.
I mean, everyone was
Yeah.
talking about it, but Reagan. So
It's definitely more sexual
Fuck Reagan.
than I thought it was
For
going to be.
real. Yeah, it
Oh
was.
my
It was
God.
sexy, right?
It was super sexy.
Yeah, for a movie about a man getting spliced up with a fly, it was fucking hot.
Those fucking tanks
We almost
in the beginning. Well, there's three of them because he has the prototype.
Right.
But
his cum tanks.
His cum tanks.
no, it is for like the baboon and the cat.
The
and
telepods.
the fly.
Oh,
Telepods.
yeah.
Telepods. Teletanks.
Telepods.
What does she call them? Designer phone booths.
Phone booths, yeah.
That was funny.
These Italian phone booths.
That was good.
Yeah.
She's funny in this movie.
She is funny. She's also like totally hard to get, and it's like, oh, you're too cute though.
Yeah, until she's like, "Oh, let me
She's so
not
cute.
give you my shoe. I'm just gonna take off my."
That
fucking
was
pantyhose."
hot, right?
That was hot. That was the
yeah.
first
I thought-
sexy thing in the movie.
I thought he was gonna sniff it. I was waiting for him to sniff it.
I was sniffing my screen.
I would have fucking just chewed it and swallowed it and said, "But do you have something I could put in the telepod?" So this movie is obviously
Sexy.
all about the practical effects, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So let's talk about Chris Wallace for a minute. I didn't know he won an Oscar for this. I did know that he won a couple Saturn Awards, and I know that he was nominated for a BAFTA. So I don't know how I missed out on the Oscar.
I mean, I'm prone
all the
to
other
just
big ones.
making stuff up, so that's possibly not true.
Chris Wallace actually directs The Fly 2. So he's the lead. He's the lead, like, prosthetics and makeup special effects guy, but he also directed the sequel.
This might be a hot take. I did not know that there was a sequel.
I didn't either.
Not very hot.
yeah.
When did this come out? Was it Cronenberg as well?
90, no, because it was Chris Wallace who directed it.
I thought he did. I thought this was like the special effects guy.
Yeah,
It was, and
the
he
special-
directed
and he
it.
directed the sequel.
Okay, so is it like fucked up?
Well,
Have you seen it?
No, we'll have to watch it.
Sometime.
But so Chris Wallace is known for doing the effects for a lot of like the Amblin stuff, but most notably he did Gremlins,
Yep.
and then he did House 2, the second story.
I need to watch this.
One of the best. That's such a good fucking like
sequel
subtitle.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a creature consultant on Return of the Jedi, so he kind of came up with the concept of Jabba, which is pretty badass.
Which is huge.
He also was the model maker for E.T., which is also pretty fucking big. And then
Not a bad resume.
two of the things that we would talk about more on this show, and like our fans would know.
Oh, he did hog stuff?
He did Piranha, the Joe Dante 1978 like Jaws kind of like
Yeah,
exploitation film. But then he also was the man in charge of effects and prosthetics on Roger Corman's Humanoids from the Deep.
Oh, fuck yeah.
When they only had like the three
The
fucking dummies or whatever it was.
They literally thought it was like one.
But the whole town.
Yeah, just the one they kept reusing
so
over and over
good.
again.
And then he did some makeup for like Scanners and Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's done
Scanners is
some
so
more
much
stuff
fun.
with fucking Cronenberg and, like I said, obviously Spielberg and shit. So,
Yeah.
and Joe Dante's worked with a couple times. Like the dude is a monster. No pun
Literally.
intended. Yeah, he's one of those guys that
Yeah,
probably
it's
gets
impressive.
overshadowed by your Winstons, your Bottins, Botine.
So
is
I
actually how you
guess
pronounce that.
Botine was brought on to do this, and they didn't like his model.
That's insane. I can't see Botine doing anything that I wouldn't love.
What has he
they
done?
did.
The Thing.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
and like yeah.
Which was definitely influence of that here, especially their first. I
RoboCop.
mean, even the first shot we get of the, I guess, inside out baboon. Like, I mean, does that not look like a small The Thing?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean,
And at some other points
you're
too.
only
but
what? Production of this was 86, maybe even late 85. So you're only a few years
a couple
removed.
years after, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, practical effects at that point in time were just as big of a billing as anybody else. Like on the marquee, like they would put, Stan Winston or, John Landis, not John Landis, Rick Baker on the
John Landis.
well, American Werewolf. I was thinking, but yeah, they'll put these guys' names on the marquee, and like you would go see the movies because of the effects
Dude.
team.
For real, Chris Wallace claims that because his name came up first in the credits is why he won an Oscar for this film, because he had name recognition.
I wouldn't doubt it. And the fact of the matter is, when the movie ends, they don't even go to the credits. They give you straight up promotion for his studio.
Yeah.
Chris Wallace,
WL or whatever.
Inc. or Limited, created and conceptualized the creature in The Fly, or whatever it is.
They also, he asked the team, they passed on Gremlins 2 to do The Fly instead.
Dude,
Because they couldn't do both at the same time.
Gremlins fucking 2. Are you guys familiar?
New batch? Love it.
Oh my god.
Not familiar.
But
Stripe?
we're gonna watch it at some point, and I don't want to spoil
Well, yeah.
anything. Dude, honestly, that's been on the top of my list for like a second movie, like our post-pod movie, and
So much fun.
I had 3 potentially picked out for tonight, and that was probably the third, just because I want to let it breathe a little bit. But Gremlins, the new batch, hilarious. Rob, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I love this movie.
You will piss your pants
so
laughing.
much fun. There's so much cool. Like Gremlins has a fair amount in the movie, especially like the last scene in the hardware store. But Gremlins 2 is like nonstop puppetry. It's
They just
awesome.
fucking. Have
I'm
you guys
into
ever
that.
seen the Key and Peele fucking skit about Gremlins 2, like the
No.
concept meeting? I don't think it ever made it.
I feel like
to
I
TV.
have, but I feel like I didn't.
It's so
get it.
funny. Oh my god, it's so good. Well,
Like I feel like I've seen it, but I didn't get it.
I'll
for
show it to you
obvious
later.
reasons.
yeah.
Well, I feel
it's
like I
really
have
good.
to see Gremlins 2 first.
Sure, we'll do that as well.
All right.
All right, well, let's talk more about Gremlins. Gizmo's cute as shit.
Oh, he's such a cutie pie.
How cool would this movie have been if it was
Gremlins?
Jeff Goldblum, Gizmo,
Okay,
and the telepod?
imagine if it was John Lithgow and Laura Dern in this movie.
Happy
would it
birthday,
be
Laura
Or
Dern.
James Woods and
Is
Laura
it Laura
Dern.
Dern's birthday today?
Today, yeah, you didn't know that.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's true.
James Woods was also
Alexa.
considered for this role.
Alexa, play Despacito. He's crazy over here. He's eating those Fiber One bars. He's getting
I don't
a
know
little
why
kooky.
people don't think I don't know Laura Dern's birthday.
Well, the only reason why I don't
What
believe
about-
you is because you're here.
What about Jennifer Jason Leigh?
I usually celebrate privately.
Yeah.
Is it today or was it yesterday?
February
You should
10th.
know.
Yeah, it was 2 days ago.
Oh, it was yesterday.
Yeah, it was
So
yesterday.
I don't know her birthday, and you don't know today's date.
Well, no, but I'm thinking this is going to be uploaded on Saturday the 12th. Our
Oh,
listeners are
You're
going to...
speaking to our viewers.
Yeah, I'm speaking to our viewers, Dick.
Riveting.
You weren't wrong.
Speaking to our viewers,
I
Dick.
guess I was wrong too. Happy late birthday, Laura Dern. Missed it by a day if you're listening. I apologize.
Missed it by
Gifts
2
in the
if you're
mail.
listening. Because it's going to be published on the 12th.
Oh. Well, the people that pay $30 a month will get this tonight.
That's right. That's right.
right.
You can find
Expedited.
this
Just
on
Venmo
the-
me.
Personally.
Or Venmo me.
Venmo any of us any amount of money, and I'll send you these rough cuts.
Yeah, that does sound
Um,
smart.
But I feel like in this movie that we watched this week, The Fly, is the first big part of gore and special effects is when, in my opinion, is when he's holding down the X and he vomits on his wrist in order to like sever his hand, or he just like vomits on his hand and melts his hand, and then he holds his ankle and vomits on his ankle and rips his foot off.
I mean, yes, but I think earlier than that, maybe not. I don't know about the most extreme, but his fingernails are popping off and he's squirting
Yeah.
goo on the mirror and stuff. He's like,
That's what I'm
finger
saying. I
coming.
guess it kind of like depends on
your line.
on your
'Cause
definition. Because I mean,
even
I
by
love
that-
fingernail gore.
Yeah, fingernail gore.
But
But even at that point, like he's already like pretty gross looking.
yeah,
Yeah,
but he looks like a caveman. I don't know if that
Kind
makes
of.
sense.
I
but
know
he
it
just
does.
Looks like
He looks
just
like-
looks like he's in an outer shell.
well, because he's an
he's like
exoskeleton.
wearing there's too much of this
That's a good
shit
point.
on me.
He does have an exoskeleton.
But he's like
There's
flesh.
too much
he's like,
shit.
He's like flesh colored, but like I don't know,
don't wanna
broken
be
blood
here
vessel,
anymore.
like drunken,
even wanna
like
be here
career
anymore.
alcoholic nose look. Like he's just gross. Also, his whole mannerisms as Brundlefly are amazing and hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that video that played like it was for children.
yeah, he's like, here, kids, this is
it's like-
Brundlefly. I am not a human nor a fly. I am a composite of the two.
It's like it took me a while to figure out how to eat food, and this is how I do it.
I
Which,
can't
God damn it, why
digest.
couldn't we see that?
All my teeth are vestigial.
Like, show me that.
I wish there was more sucking and slurping in this movie.
I want him to have
could've
like a
been so
proboscis
much
that
more,
would
like,
come out of his
cosplay.
throat, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they obviously had the
budget and
the
the-
budget and the knowledge and everything to do more like pus play.
Well,
and, like,
I think that they
gross
fucking spent it
shit.
all on the fucking monkey cat that got cut. Like, dude, they built that creature, and there was like a transformation scene. Like, that was
Also the baboons.
cut. Oh yeah,
They're
Dude,
expensive. Well,
thinking that
they-
he was strong enough
he's
to
cheap.
manhandle
And
a
he
baboon.
was, which is a terrible gamble if you're a lead actor. Holy shit.
I mean, at least he got to be shirtless a couple scenes. I'd be like, all right, I got ripped for this fucking movie, so I can fight this baboon. At
But-
least get me shirtless a couple times.
Like, show me that dong, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if he hangs
Well, come here.
dong
He
in
doesn't,
any movie.
and you only see like a side boob of Gina Davis.
I know, yeah, but that's way more of her than I've seen. So, Jeff Goldblum, if you're listening, hang dong in something.
Jeff
And
Goldblum,
even if it's just a
Venmo
tweet,
us your dong, if you will.
or
WhatsApp.
just an email.
Just WhatsApp. Yeah, do you want to
yeah.
to make sure your messages are encrypted? You don't want to have that shit out there for anybody
Yeah.
to see. But if you send it to me, I'm showing everybody.
I'm
You know
looking
what I mean?
out for Jeff at apartments.com.
Oh yeah, he's the super sexy salesman, huh?
He is. He is.
Yeah, oh yeah, that is what he does
It
these
is
days.
true.
He's still really
So
sexy
good.
and making a lot more money than all of us, and he's still Jeff Goldblum. So
And he's also Jeff Goldblum.
He's such a strange guy. Have you listened to interviews of him? Just like him being him.
No.
He's a weird guy, which is like
I'm into weird.
what I was kind of saying. I was
Let's get
like,
weird.
yeah, I was like,
Let's
that's
get
why
weird.
I feel like he was so good at playing this
Eccentric.
character, because he's fucking strange. I'm not a huge Conan fan, but Conan Needs a Friend, his podcast had Jeff Goldblum on it, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to this, and literally like 40 minutes of it is Jeff Goldblum telling a story about him seeing like his young son's boner for the first time.
that doesn't sound weird as much as it sounds criminal.
Well, I mean, it's his own son.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
go
good,
ahead,
but
run
he
with
like,
this.
but he like talks about this like on Conan, like
It's
at
like-
length.
it's like a scene out of Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Just like a normal like.
Serbian film.
He's like there to talk about this.
Have you seen
and
a
I was
Serbian
like,
deer?
damn, this guy is fucking
Do
strange.
you remember that bit in Killing a Sacred Deer where Colin Farrell's
Yes.
at the
I've
like
been
dinner
trying
party
to forget. Oh,
and they're talking about like his daughter and stuff? Like that's what that sounds like.
yeah. Well, I was thinking of the other discussion in that movie, but yeah,
I mean, also that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's. I'll watch it sooner.
Talk
than
about
later.
more about movies we're not doing for the pod.
Ooh. Well.
Dad jerk off sessions.
Beep.
We're talking about a movie.
Oh yeah.
It's called The Fly.
Lifelines away.
Life
Brundlefly. Be afraid.
That's one of my favorite memes of all time. Is
Very
the Life
afraid.
cereal box, and in the bowl it's all those pictures of Jeff Goldblum and it says Life finds a way. Anyway,
Yeah.
We're petering out here.
There's computers in Jurassic Park, and there's computers in The Fly.
and there's computers.
Okay.
And you guys know I'm a big fan of futuristic
All of that
computers
is
in the
great,
80s movies.
and
It's
we'll
so
get into
much
it.
fun.
But they set up the voice activation to be a thing, and you know he's gonna
Yeah.
transform, and then it just changes to manual. It's like not even a big deal. It's like why even have it? Sorry, it bothered me a lot.
It's
I
like,
like-
as far as, sorry to cut you off, as far as I know, I don't think anybody uses like voice recognition as like biometrics unless it's in a movie.
It's security. It's a security measure that had nothing
It's
to do with it
not-
at all. Immediately switched to
it's like,
manual.
I
It was
just
like
don't think
not
it's
match, not
used
match, not match, not
ever.
match, not match. Manual input.
But yeah, no, all the computer stuff is so much fun.
What-
Just him
the
asking the questions. Yeah.
Fusion.
Fusion, yeah. And I know you love the keyboard.
Dude, that it was infuriating. Why the fuck would you have a keyboard oriented in such a manner? This is near 90
Was
degrees.
it alphabetical or was it a QWERTY?
Yeah, it's a QWERTY. It had to have been. He
hope
actually was
so.
typing pretty well on that, considering. I mean, he could have totally been making it up. He definitely wasn't.
And
typing
then like
words.
just like the random numbers that flash all over
Okay.
the screen during
The sequencing. Also, like, and I know they kind of talk about it in the dialogue, but the first like 10 minutes is him at a party talking to a journalist, and then try to convince her to see his thing. That's really impressive, and then freaks out that she's like recording him. She's like, "I'm a journalist. What'd you expect?" He's like, "Well, not that."
Yeah,
To be
yeah,
fair,
and I
he was
guess
trying to
he's
smash
just,
Gina Davis.
I think
He
yeah,
was.
he was like A, just like trying to fuck, and B, obviously he's like not, he's like socially awkward. He doesn't understand.
Yeah, ish. He's able to get a girl to come home with him, but yeah,
And she
Well,
fucks
he looks
him
like Jeff Goldblum.
and she fucks him like day 2.
she doesn't fuck him. She makes love to him.
That's true. It's a beautiful
It's
scene.
actually kind of romantic, and they're like spooning on that dirty fold-out bed on the couch. That's true love right there.
That's true love.
He
I
like
don't think
takes
it
her.
is.
This is a love story.
She
in
goes.
and of itself.
It's an old-fashioned love story. She goes home with a weird but sexy dorky guy to basically like a warehouse with a sliding metal door, and I thought he was gonna put that padlock on. Remember?
It would have been hot. If
And
he
I
did.
thought for real he was gonna like lock her in, and then he makes a joke about like he's playing the piano. He's like making jokes like, "Well, you've seen it now. I gotta kill you," and he's like,
I
"No."
think-
yeah, it's like you've seen too much.
I think he
fuck,
was
actually,
legit playing the piano there.
He
It
was.
looked
I
very
think he
much
was
like
too,
it.
which
Yeah.
was very hot.
That's sexy. I
For
wish I
sure.
could play the
Honestly,
piano. You already saw them.
What is
he
it?
says. I like that line.
What's his name? Seth? Like, okay.
Brundle.
Aside from the
Brundlefly?
name Brundlefly being insane, Seth is like
It's a great
as a character. It is great. Seth as a character is like he's passionate. He's really smart. He's sexy. He plays the piano. Like
self-motivated.
I totally get it. I totally get where Gina Davis is coming from.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Even with those weird hairs growing out of his back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the like computer chip being
Yeah,
stuck.
it's just like in his fold-out bed.
It's like
There's
a fucking
processor.
razor blade.
And he's like, "Oh, that's where that ended up."
Yeah.
Well, it's
gotta-
foreshadowing of his science.
Yeah,
you know,
but I still
destroying
got a
him.
good chuckle of that. Be like, "Oh, I mean, he's a mad scientist. Of course, there's just computer parts in his bed." That are getting stuck to his skin.
I also like the steak experiment, which feels like the thing you would have done before putting a fucking baboon in there.
I don't know.
It almost
think about
feels-
the logistics of obtaining both.
Think about putting literally
If you're
any
not paying
dead
for
organic
it,
flesh.
one
Put
of
an
them-
apple in there first before you put a baboon.
Okay,
It's
but
the
then the
flesh.
apples, they start asking questions.
The apples start
What are you
asking
doing with
questions,
these
and then you're like apples to apples. What's going on?
Yeah, one bad apple. That's what I always
Spoil
say.
the bunch.
Yep, an apple a day keeps the
A
fly
cab away.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
A
but-
cab? Fucking hate cops. There was
Fuck you, okay,
Yeah,
cops,
hey,
if you're
you,
listening.
like literally fucking turn off because that's the best thing that you could do for yourself. I'm about to say a lot of hateful shit. Beep.
I'm sure of any podcast, this is one that is beloved by cops.
Beloved.
Is it beloved or beloved?
It's
I don't
both.
care. Just
Depends
look-
on if you're Old Testament or New Testament.
Well, Danny Glover's in one of them, right?
Yeah, Danny Glover's in one of the testaments.
No, in beloved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He plays Moses, right?
No, I think he plays John.
So,
The Baptist.
I will say,
Dude, he got his head cut off. Spoiler
He-
alert.
who?
John the Baptist.
Oh,
He got his
I thought we
fucking
were back to the
head
film.
cut off.
No.
Yeah,
Did you know?
yeah.
You didn't tell me?
Have you heard the good news? John Baptist
good
got his head
news?
cut off.
What? That's fucking nuts. I bet his hair slicks back real nice.
You know, Jesus is that guy who like heard your joke but said it louder. Blessed are the meek.
Oh, that is funny. He did say
He
that.
did say that. Well, John said it first.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why he got his fucking head cut off.
Yep.
Jesus?
No, Jesus still has his head. It's got a fucking cool hat on it now.
Sweet hat.
That's fucking hat
Crown
is
of-
honestly kind of tight.
Crown of thorns.
Yup.
No, hat of there's a hat of thorns.
Hat of thorns.
Hat of thorns?
There's a few. It was fitted. It was a fitted
It
bill.
was
It was like a
as in-
5950.
yeah, it was crooked on his head.
Some say it was 12 gallons.
Jesus
The 12
was a-
gallon crown of thorns
Jesus
hat.
was a fuckboy.
Jesus. If there's anything you need to know about this pod, it's that Jesus,
Jesus
is a
was a
fuckboy.
fuckboy. He was tatted up. He was wearing that hat of thorns, crooked,
He had a whore mother.
and he said, "I'll swing by this fucking dinner, but if there's no one I know, I'm gonna leave."
And he's like, yo, Mary, get over here.
Yeah, I ain't got
Mary.
no wine. You ain't got no fucking wine?
Give me some of that water. Give me a second.
Hey,
We
yeah.
get fucked up here.
Me and the boys in cell block D, we used to turn water into wine all the time. We called it hooch.
It's funny because he was killed by the state.
The state, yeah, it was a fucking capital punishment.
Yeah, it was.
That's what you get.
Well, yeah.
That's what you get.
If you're
That's
a
what
terrorist.
you get. And a fuckboy.
Yeah, and a fuckboy.
Fuckboy terrorist.
You break the law, you get crucified.
That's kind of how the Roman Empire worked.
It's how this pod works.
Also that.
That is true.
Back
What
to
we
the
say
movie.
is law. Dogmatic law.
So the thing I didn't like about Seth as a character is that he is played and set up to. He's obviously not like the great at, like the best at processing emotions and being like a normal guy. So I didn't really love the fact that he is like head over heels week one. Because, I mean, we get this movie because he gets so upset that she's with his ex that he gets really drunk and is like, oh, I'm going to show her. I'm going to transport myself without her. Like, he does it out of spite because he's jealous.
I mean,
Even though, like, at this point, like, she's a journalist that they've, like, fucked once.
but does it make sense that he's like really infatuated with her? He is before she even comes home with him. He's like all about her at the party, And also, like, he's kind of a nerd and, like, doesn't get out much, and he probably doesn't have a lot of, like, relationships.
She also
He could
knows
be-
his secret, too. She knows his
kind of
secret.
be like a neckbeard, like kind of incel.
Also, like, I don't know. I'm not saying I've been in that situation, but I've been in a situation where I was, like, really infatuated with somebody over a short period of time, and not, like, where I was, like, freaking out, like, stalking them, but where I was, like...
But
I don't know.
Considering turning yourself into a fly.
Well, I was
But with all
consumed
that,
by the thought of them.
he's also like, you think, at least like with all this, like he's obsessed with this, girl being like whatever, chasing her. That's like, but then he's just like super sexy too as this scientist that never gets out. Like she makes a move and he like handles it so smooth, and they have like this great sex.
Sounds like my life.
That's true. I've seen
It
it
doesn't
happen.
make sense for the character. I mean, like if he's supposed to be this awkward scientist that never gets out, but then he's like,
Yeah, but remember
he's like,
how,
oh yeah, I'm obsessed
okay.
with this girl. I know how to like,
So,
I'm
but
gonna fuck her so good.
There's a difference between like inexperience and like socially awkward, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, apples and oranges, but like I feel like he's charismatic naturally, but he's so consumed by his work and like he never leaves. He doesn't meet people. But once
I'm
he's
saying-
like in front of you and you talk
He's
to him,
intimidated
he's
to
like,
go
I guess
into the
what I'm
grocery
saying
store,
is
but he can
that-
grill a mean burger.
I think
Yes.
it like, I like that. It felt like it was a little more rom-commy than it needed to be. They could have.
Yeah, but
They
okay,
could have
remember how
achieved
slow
the
and boring you thought
same
this movie
exact-
was for an hour? Did
Yeah,
we
they
need
could have
another
gotten
30
more
minutes
into the
of
gore.
like,
He could have just been obsessed with her
But
and
it's
like
not
had
about that.
pus and shit.
yeah, but he needs to
Leaking.
be. He's like redeemable
And they could still
in a lot
end
of
up
ways.
falling in love. It just didn't have to happen.
I don't think his
that
manic
day.
obsession would have made him more endearing to the audience, though. And I think
I
they were
mean-
going for that for a long time. They want the
That's what I'm saying.
transformation to be hard because it's you're sympathizing with him.
No, I'm not I agree with that. But like what I'm saying is that like that's not what I want.
Oh
Fair.
no,
No,
I want.
fair.
In
I want fly
in my
vomit.
like gross horror. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like I want it to be more like fucked up, like more fly vomit and I mean the classic like, oh, you got to get out of here. I love you, but I'm gonna hurt you if you stay, like kind of thing. Like I could have done without. Like I rather, instead of him being like, oh, if you stay, I'm gonna hurt you. I would
Just
rather
hurt
her
her.
like rip her fucking arm off and she lives and still loves him or whatever.
I get that. I do, but I feel like this movie has a lot more, like, again, like there's kind of like a Frankenstein aspect to it a little bit, and just it's more about it's more about his losing his humanity, which might not be the most entertaining thing to watch, but like I didn't expect as much romance as I got either.
But I don't
Yeah.
think that this movie is this movie without all of that, because if what we're talking about is like, oh, rip her arm off and blah 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 blah, and like it's slow and boring in the
Stump
beginning.
fucker.
But it's like, dude, that's what the audience wants. And like
Yeah,
what
no,
I
for
like
sure.
about what Cronenberg did here is he took a fucking gross interpretation of The Fly and made it this
A beautiful love story.
well, he made a horrifying, gross body horror movie,
burn.
and then he found a way to captivate the general population with it. Like,
That's true.
my mom doesn't watch horror movies, and she's, she 80s, whatever, but she's like, oh yeah, The Fly, I love it, like blah 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 blah, and it's like, why? You don't love it? You just
When was the last time you saw it?
you are roped into watching
Yeah, name
it,
5
or
songs.
yeah.
You love The Fly.
But you know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
so many people who wouldn't necessarily watch this movie if it was bite her arm off or whatever, watch this movie and they think of it fondly
Yeah.
because it's funny
more
and it's
approachable.
cute
It's
and
also
it's
like-
watchable.
It's
But
like well made.
but still, for those people who might have palate fatigue with that shit, i.e. the three of us, we get what we want in the end ultimately. Maybe not to the 10th
Especially
degree.
in the mid 80s. If you're like us going to theaters, like I see what you mean. Like half of the crowd could have gone in there, wanting a love story, and the other half could have gone in there wanting like, some gross gore, and they both could have come out happy.
Yeah, but the love story half is leaving 30 minutes in when the arm comes off. But when they're an hour in and like there's an end in sight and they're invested in these characters, which is why they have like I think that's why they took the baboon monkey or the monkey cat out, so that because Goldblum kills the monkey cat in the deleted scene, and then that's like not endearing. I think what they did made the best movie, even if it didn't deliver what I would have personally loved to embellish with, because like the effects were great and everything was so good, and I would have liked prolonged transformation scenes. I would have liked more pus and open wounds. I would have liked a less romantic build-up.
Yeah,
but
this
I get to talk about this movie with everybody because everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
And now the three of us have to.
And part of this is my thoughts of Cronenberg going into this. I mean, as we discussed, somehow, none of us are well versed in Cronenberg, and in my mind, it's just like gross gore, and like that is what he's known for. That's kind of what I was expecting, like from front to back. So I was like, why are they like fucking falling in love and like no one's being ripped apart and it's been an hour?
I agree with that, especially because it seemed like we were going to hit the ground running pretty quickly. Like the setup was like, dude, it's an hour and 30 minutes and she's there. We got the telepods on site for like, 7 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, let's go. I was like, pedal to the metal.
It's going to be a hour-long gross out.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. But it was still really good. Actually, I enjoyed this movie. And if it would have kept the same pace all the way to the end without delivering the fever pitch last 25 minutes, I wouldn't be saying that. But like once that little larva baby came out and fingers started splitting and
the last 20, 25, whatever, it was
great. It was balls to the wall. Yeah, and there was a point blank shotgun blast to the exploding head. And if Cronenberg can do something, it's an exploding fucking head.
That's true.
And the same with Chris Wallace, who also worked on Scanners. Like that is good
Lots
stuff.
Lots of exploding heads in that.
So I don't know. I liked it.
I was glad to see that. I did like that part when she goes to kind of execute him and
hesitates.
She can't, and his little fucking whatever comes and like pulls the barrel to his head. It's like, fucking do it.
And she does it.
And she fucking does it.
And it was a good one. I also loved the final transformation where he sheds like that.
Oh yeah,
that was
we touched on that a little bit, but that was great.
It's like a 9-foot tall fly human thing. It's a hybrid. It doesn't have like compound eyes and stuff, but yeah, it's fucking.
It's a fusion on a molecular level.
It is fusion on a molecular level.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it was a hard act to follow with Dead Alive, which we all loved, and I knew it would be. This has been on the list for a while. I was happy to do it, and I was a little nervous, 45 minutes in, but it ended well. If y'all got anything else to say, now's the time.
I'm seeing a note that just says insect politics. We don't have to get into it.
Great. That was actually a great bit. I feel like it calls back to like Kafka and stuff, but yeah, definitely.
And that's when he says like, I'll hurt you if you stay, which even though that is like kind of an overused thing, his delivery of it was great. But yeah, that like weird insect politician rant was pretty great.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to where she goes to have an actual abortion and he just jumps to the window.
Right. That is
just
insane.
Whisks her away.
And that was kind of another like one of these tropes, but it was really well done because the character, you're sympathizing with him when he says, "Come on, don't kill me."
It's like this might be the last human part of me or whatever. So
and like
it also might be a demon,
but it could be fucked up.
Larva.
But like you're watching that as the audience and you get it, and that's why I think the movie works so well, and I think that non-horror fans could watch this and have sympathetic feelings, which you're not going to get sympathy in Audition or Martyrs or Texas Chainsaw. I mean, the three of us might because we're fucking sick.
Well, there's that sympathy from Mr. Vengeance, right?
That is true. Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
So good.
Okay, so speaking of old boys.
Old boys or old boy?
Old boys.
Old boys.
The OG and the remake.
The little buff old boys.
No, who's the remake with? It doesn't matter.
Josh Brolin.
He's
an old boy.
He is an old boy.
He becomes a man.
Honestly, that remake is not that bad, but the original's great.
The original's fantastic.
The original.
Yeah.
And so are the other two.
Well, let's go ahead and get into some scores, and let's let Rob tell us what vampire movie we're watching next week.
No, 2 weeks from now.
Oh, that
2
is
weeks
right,
from now,
Elmer's.
We're taking a break.
Bill's got something to tell you. He's got an apology for you.
I apologize. We're taking a week off. I just have something better to do.
Yeah.
And we kind of, looking back at past episodes, we're like, man, we kind of we got to give people a week and get back to this midsummer episode and finally finish it. Pick up
Because it's as long as 3 episodes.
So,
Get that
take this week off and go back to our midsummer episode and chip away at it a little
There's
bit
a
more.
there's a lot of content. I don't know about quality, but there's a lot of content.
That's kind of like more of like, I know it's a horror podcast, but that was kind of like a comedy podcast. So it's
It
pretty
was.
funny.
It was kind of like a comedy.
3 hour long fucking joke.
I'll start. Cronenberg is the man. The Fly is
The movie.
the movie. Like I said, I knew a decent amount of this, amount of what it was about and stuff going into it. I mean, it's pretty, well-known pop culture and everything. But honestly, what I thought about Cronenberg is like I thought that this was gonna be. I honestly thought it was gonna be like Dead Alive. Not to talk about that again, but I thought it was gonna be like more B movie, campy, just like gore throughout, like From Beyond or Scanners or one of those. And it wasn't which is fine, but honestly, like the first 30-40 minutes, like I was a little bored. It does pick up, and like the story is good, and the characters are great. I mean, we've talked, I think, enough about how great Seth is as a character, and Jeff Goldblum, and how well he plays him. And the gore in this, though it might not be as much as I want, which it almost never is. It is great, and like the skin melting gore that we get is very cool. I'll give this a 79.
Yeah, I'll just echo basically everything you're saying, and I was going to give it an 80, but it's, I mean, yeah, so an 80, then it's more of the same. I was kind of expecting more, and I was a little off-put by some of that, but then letting it breathe a little bit and really considering why it works, and the fact that I did enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, I think like it usually does, talking more about it and like hearing what you guys have to say. Like if I watched this and ranked it by myself, it probably would have been a little bit lower than that. But it's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point. So,
yeah, I really liked it. I don't think it's the best film that we've watched, and I don't think it's my favorite film that we've watched on the podcast, but it's also fucking badass, and it has some of the best effects. And like, I'm a sucker for practical effects. And
Gina Davis
and Jeff Goldblum and John Getz. Like, I really I don't know. It was good. 80. What do you got, Rob?
That's so weird. I also gave this an 80. Yeah, I gave this an 80. This is a good movie.
That's never happened. The three of us, like,
being
separated by
one
one
point.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
But it is good. It's funny. It's romantic. There's, again, like both of you guys said, like amazing practical effects, especially the last, 15, 20 minutes are just crazy. All around, just, yeah, not what I was expecting. But like you said, like this is an iconic film, even if you only know the trope, you still kind of know what you're getting into. Yeah, just, and well paced, honestly. Not that Cronenberg is bad at that, but all in all, like a really enjoyable film. And yeah, pretty gross towards the end. So if you have like a weak stomach, you're probably not listening to this podcast, so don't watch it. But for general viewing, I think that this holds up really well, and is a great film, and the performances are good, and the score is good, and everything about it. It's a great film. Yeah, 80.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was happy that it landed. Like I said, I was a little bit nervous just because, and I was thinking about you specifically. I was like, I know Rob's hoping for some fucking Bill's hoping for some gross shit, and so far we haven't really gotten it, but it does deliver, and it was always going to be a hard act to follow Dead Alive, because that's jumped right up into my upper echelon of favorite horror movies. That was so good.
I think both of you already said it was the best film you see all year.
It's going to be hard to top.
Exactly. No, for real.
It was really
I have
good.
a hard
It
time
was great.
imagining it outside of top 3 this year.
Yeah.
But do you know?
Not a
So
chance it's going to be 4th or lower.
do you know what we're watching in 2 weeks?
I do.
Ooh.
Ooh,
What are we watching?
Well, that's the issue, though. I don't know if it's still going to be streaming in 2 weeks.
Oh.
I think it will.
If it's not,
We'll
I'll
drop
spend
it.
$4 on
We'll
for
figure.
you.
Or
For
we'll
you.
figure it out, or
Okay.
we'll cut this out, and we'll.
And we'll
Put
edit it
something
out
else in.
We'll
It
edit
doesn't
it back
matter.
in.
Seriously?
What are you
Nice bill.
planning on?
Okay, so this is a film that I have seen before. Not a bunch, but I've probably seen it twice.
Fright Night again?
No, it's not Fright Night. It's
Just listen to a podcast on Friday night.
You
Where
done?
they talk? Where they don't talk about anything but Evil Ahead. That one?
I actually texted you about that.
yeah.
No. What are we watching?
It's fucking Friday night again.
It's not Fright Night. It's Fright Night 2. No, it's not Fright Night 2. No, this is a film near and dear to my heart. This is actually the first horror film I have any memory of seeing. So it's pretty early. In the 90s.
Are we supposed to
That's
guess?
pretty early in
do
the
we,
90s.
Do we
I was
each get
trying to
one
think,
guess?
'cause-
Okay.
We each get one guess.
I
Go
will.
for it.
Do you want a clue?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a vampire movie.
Hey, fuck off. It is, huh? I knew it was
The
going
Lost
to be.
Boys.
No.
Oh, God.
Good guess, though.
There's no way he's only seen The Lost Boys twice, though.
Good
Oh, did you say
guess.
that?
I've seen it maybe twice.
I don't know. What's your guess?
All I can think about is Tim Capella's sexy ass with that saxophone in the beginning of fucking Lost Boys right now, and I'm really struggling to get back on track. Oh, my God. I still believe.
Layer of the White Worm.
No, it's going to be-
layer, not layer.
Huh?
Layer. No, layer. It's like a fucking tiramisu of the white worm. Hold on, I got one.
Yeah, chocolate.
If I give you the other clue, you're
Worm.
definitely gonna get it.
It's
A sequel
it's
to-
not. Ooh, Near Dark.
No, it's not streaming, or I would have picked it.
Just say it.
Blade.
Oh,
Oh.
that's good. Blade 1 or Blade 2?
Blade 1.
Blade.
Blade 1.
I've never seen it.
Wesley
Really?
Snipes, first black superhero. Really, realistically, I think ever.
Like on and
Definitely
On
in
screen.
film.
on film, yeah.
Yeah.
We got Luke Cage and some other people in like the novel.
But
like,
he was a comic before he was a movie.
Yeah, Luke Cage was out in like the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
though.
But I mean, fantastic 90s blood rave, sexy vampires killing everybody, katanas, it's got
I
everything.
love
Blade is actually
sword
really
violence.
fun.
It's
Can't
gory.
recall Blade super well. It's been a long time, but I definitely saw it a couple times.
I've seen the new one.
The new one? Is there like a
Newest.
The third one?
like the third one that came out in like 2004, starring Triple H, Paul
No,
Levesque.
there's like a remake
Dracula in the
It's all
desert.
about the game
What am I-
and
am
how
I
you
thinking
play
of something
I
it.
don't know what you're thinking of. You tell us.
Blade
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, not about vampires. Anyway, yeah, Blade, 1998, Wesley Snipes.
Did you know Blade 2 was directed by Guillermo del Toro?
I know that now.
I knew that since you.
It's nuts.
So, yeah.
GDT, if you're listening to this, give
Send
us
us
Blade
night-
2 too.
Also, Venmo us your dick.
Send us Nightmare Alley so we don't have to pay for it.
Also
It's
that,
streaming on HBO right now.
for
Where
free.
we have enough fucking viewers that you can send us movies and we'll review them.
Yeah, just
Directors,
send
if
us,
you're
just send us
listening,
screeners
send me
of all your
screeners. Send us
movies.
screeners.
If you have screener VHSs, send it to us, and we will
mean-
do a Patreon that you'd then have to pay to listen to us review the movie that you sent us.
If
Yeah,
you
send
want
us
to win
free
an
things
Elmy,
and then pay.
you've got to send us screeners of your movies.
Oh, we are giving out a listener Elmy this year, right?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snobbiest listener.
It depends on... well, we know who that is. It depends on if you guys move away.
Oh, if we, for some reason,
The
don't all
listeners?
live together,
The listeners.
if for some reason we don't all
If
live
we
in
all
the same
move out of
apartment
this party
anymore,
mansion?
yeah, we're gonna Discord, Zoom, Skype this bitch. Like, there's no reason why
We'll figure it
this
out.
never has to stop. We're doing this till the end of
Never.
time. We're doing this until the Elmies quit listening.
and it's
Until
because of
I-
you guys.
until
we
I turn
couldn't-
into Brundlefly.
we couldn't stop
Oh no,
the
Yeah.
amount of attention.
That's
and
what I tell people all the time. I can't stop. And they're like,
I
no, you
can't
have
stop.
to.
I bring it up to people at the bar all the time.
Do you have a
and they're
safe
like,
word?
will you please stop? And I'm
No.
like, no, we literally can't stop.
We can't.
can't
do
stop,
it.
won't stop.
Harder, faster, stronger. Yeah, so we're off for a week, and then we'll be back, and we'll do Blade.
Mm-hmm.
Catch up
you.
on any episodes that you may have missed.
Like Midsummer.
The older they are, the
Worse they
The
are,
Worse.
harder they
They're gonna
fall.
be.
dude. Have you ever pushed an old person down?
Yeah.
It's pretty
It's
intense.
pretty fucking funny.
Shaka Khan when the sugar walls fell.
Oof.
All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. And to the Elmies, we want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Pull up with us, watch two films. Come on, watch two films.